I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order, and all those who can, please rise for the pledge. And Mr. Bishop, will you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Brittany for roll call.
Robert Bishop.
Here.
David Metzger.
Here.
John Doyle.
Here.
Our chairman.
Here.
Our chair.
Here. And the minutes for June 26, 2023, if I can have a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we defer the approval of these minutes to the next meeting. We are missing a member of the board to make a quorum for those who are present for that meeting.
Okay, so moved. We'll just put that on the next agenda, Tom?
Sure.
Thank you. Okay, this is the public address to the board. This is a time when the public may address the board on any item listed on the meeting agenda or on any issue or matter of the town. If you intend on addressing the board at this time, we ask that you do the following. Please identify yourself by name, address, or the company institution you represent. The public address to the board segment will last no longer than 30 minutes. Please make your comments concise and try not to repeat statements made by others. Please address your comments to the board chair. Discussion and debate on any issue may not take place at this time. The chair or the designee may answer questions on procedural matters. Please be cordial and respectful of others. If anyone wishes to be recognized when the board discusses an agenda item, please make the request at this time. The board chair may grant this request. And again, address comments to the board chair and be concise. We are meeting in person and making this meeting available via Zoom for the convenience of the public. Since we are meeting in person, we will not be responsible for any technical difficulties. So if you would like to be sure of participating, please attend in person. Anybody looking to address the board this evening? Seeing none, we'll move to appointment ratifications. Mr. Hutchinson.
I am very pleased to present.
We should have enough information so we can explain to the public why we're giving the dollar, why we're just taking $1. You know, I mean, that's my concern, because I can't explain that.
Right now, it's because they will improve the road, which will benefit the town, because we also use that road. There'll be.
Which road are we talking about?
It's between the transfer station and the landfill and back. So the police use it for the training range. The DPW uses it for monitoring and mowing the old landfill. Anyone who goes back out into that area.
Well, having that road updated so it can be actually used by commercial or regular type cars and regular type families might be beneficial, because there's talk of at some time in the future locating playing fields over there.
Huh.
And it's just not one of the many things they're kicking around.
Right, well, this would only be to a gravel road.
Yeah, but it'd be better than what's there now, that's all.
Yeah.
It would you could access it with a regular standardized vehicle, not just a truck.
Yeah,
So it could be beneficial.
that's just the thinking behind it. I'm fine with going back, well, I guess to go.
Well, it's done. Let's move on to number 8.
I'll say I think
Yeah.
the improvement of the road, I think, is sufficient for my vote, which has already happened.
Yeah.
Me too.
So, all good.
Presentation on comprehensive economic development strategy.
John, can I just interrupt you? I'm so sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I was here because you needed that notarized, right?
I'm sorry?
You asked me to be here to notarize that document with the signatures,
Oh, yes.
so maybe we should do that before we met.
Yeah.
Sorry for the interruption.
No worries, Heather.
Yeah,
No.
So we got to sign it, and you got to know right.
Yeah.
Make it a pen.
You had a motive to be here, Heather. Why else would anybody?
I'm happy to be here, John. I'm honored to be here.
See, everything's
I didn't want
right.
to forget.
That's tough to write.
Yep.
That's stiff. Okay, there's that, and the pen.
Sorry, Bill.
Oh, you're fine.
Oh, there's an official stamp and everything. Look at you, fancy.
Official.
Official.
throwing weight into it, right?
That's so
Did you see
funny.
that?
It's a little hammer.
I know. There you go.
Thank you.
You are very welcome.
All right, thank you, Heather.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
No problem. Happy to do it.
So number 8, the presentation of comprehensive economic development strategy.
Yes, I don't know why they're not on the call. I thought we made the date and time clear last time, but
Okay,
we don't
well-
have anyone to present.
Motion to table?
So moved.
Okay.
What have you?
We're tabling this BRPC presentation.
Nobody from BRPC is here to present.
Nope. No. Emily was a representative of
Oh, I thought that was.
Warren.
Policy decision on waiving back taxes for building in receivership to be demolished at 463 High Street.
Yes, this is I believe, a unique circumstance. So it would be difficult for me to think that we would be in this situation in the future. So I didn't see a risk in doing this. Agnes is here if you want to discuss the details of the situation, but I can give you the basics. We had a town, we had a building that was condemned, and it has gone into receivership, court-ordered receivership. The receiver is now considering backing out of the agreement because the amount of the amount necessary to get the property in a condition to sell is more than the land is worth. So the demolition of the house, because it cannot currently be assessed for asbestos, is going to have to be treated under Massachusetts law as potentially hazardous waste and disposed of as hazardous waste. That brings the cost of the transaction up above the amount that the land is worth, and the receiver is considering backing out. It was difficult to find a receiver, and one possible benefit that has not been offered at this point is forgiving just shy of $8,000 in back taxes and fees to is forgiving that so that the receiver doesn't have to pay that. It's conceivable that that might lead the receiver to not back out of managing the property. If it doesn't, it might take considerable time to find a new receiver and to have them take on a property which has shown itself not to be worth demolishing, more or less, and taking over the property. One estimate is between $40,000 and $50,000 to demolish the house under the hazardous waste rules. Property as a whole, I think, is $44,000. The taxes are just under $8,000. So that's why we're bringing this to you. I don't think it would be a likely occurrence that we would have a property in receivership that is so close to the amount necessary for it to be economically viable for a receiver to take it over and make something of it. Again, it's a very unusual circumstance, and that's why I think it might be worth forgiving the back taxes and fees for this particular property without setting a precedent that would endanger the town from getting, considerable money in the future.
What happens to the land after it's demolished? Who owns the land?
The receiver.
So they can build a new house on top of that land and increase the value of that land, right?
They could do any number of things to increase the value of the land.
So it's not, present value versus future value is my question.
Yeah, and Agnes has had more dealings with the receiver than I have, and been in housing court. And I don't know if you want to speak to that at all, but yes, there is a possibility that the value of the land will rise. This is on the corner of Bridle and Hyatt, across from the Who's House.
Mhm.
When I spoke with the Attorney General on this,
Can you come
Yeah,
forward?
come on.
The mic isn't going to be able to pick you up that thing.
when I spoke with the Attorney Generals on this, they said most likely it would be very difficult to get another receiver. They had tried to get a receiver in the past, as you know, and that house has been like that for years. I'm not sure if the receiver is going to move forward with our option, but it's something that we as a town can offer, because if not, then it comes back on the house being a safety issue, condemned, sitting there. When I first came, there was a ladder up on the second floor. So that's a scary thought. And it would come back on the town to probably eventually demolish.
Is the inside of this house toasting, or is it just,
It's the back of the house. Well, the problem is both the fire and the building inspector first when they receiver came to town, they had a meeting with them and they said nobody goes in it. It's unsafe. The floors are unsafe. There's a hole in actually the back roof in the kitchen, and has been for years. So all the water has been leaking in.
oh, geez.
At that point, the judge said, "Well, can we have an architectural engineer look at it?" And we had to go back to the fire chief and the building inspector, say, what's your thoughts? And they said, well, it's at the person's own risk. The receiver is afraid that even the front door, you can't even you open up the side door and there's just bags of debris broken down in front of you. You can't go any further. So it's stuff, and supposedly according to the prior chief, it was stuff all the way to the basement. So the concern was, even if you open up the front door, there was concern that the floor
Push it
joists.
on.
And the problem is the asbestos removal, is you can't have an asbestos survey done, and the cost goes from 20 to, he had a rate of 52.
So to demolish a house is estimated what?
About 52,000. The receiver came in with the cost from his contractor of 52,000, because according to Mass DEP, everything, if you don't do an asbestos survey, everything has to go as asbestos and treated as asbestos.
The 52 includes the asbestos removal and transported to the
Everything.
legal redemption facility, right?
Yes, that has to be treated that way, as asbestos.
You don't have to know what the dimensions of that lot are.
Well, if we can remove a barrier to successfully getting this property remediated and onto more productive uses in the hands of the receiver, I'm in support of that, but I don't know if we have any, is there precedent for waiving back taxes with a situation like this? Have we done this before?
I think so.
Nope. And I think that's the question, is that this is a policy decision on waiving back taxes, so we are setting a precedent on this. This would be precedent setting.
Yes, it would.
Well, can't we stipulate that this is a one-time thing? It's not an ongoing policy or open policy?
Well, future parties would point to it as precedent
Yep.
anyway.
Well, yeah, they point to it, but doesn't mean it's legal.
But
Yeah, it's tough though, yeah.
the reason I thought it would be worth bringing forward is because it's an unusual situation that there is a receiver for the property. The current estimate of demolishing the house is more than the value of the property is currently assessed. So I don't know that those conditions would be likely to be met in the future. And if they were, maybe it would be in the town's interest to forgive the back taxes, again, in order to have somebody else clean it up, is basically what we're talking.
But if we give up the back taxes and therefore the lien is free, the receiver then not only is cleaning this up, but owns the property. Right?
Yes, that the being a receiver,
Put in a lot for 52 grand, basically.
Yes.
John, it's .41 acres.
Yeah, point. How does that .41 equating to square feet?
Don't know.
That's R2 over there, and it requires, but this might be grandfathered as a building lot too. Need 15,000 square feet, right, Dan?
For a building lot, yeah.
Yeah. And I think there's adequate frontage there because it goes around the corner.
It'd be about 16,000 square feet.
60. So it seems to be on, thank you, Eddie. Yeah, 4/10 of an acre, that's pretty good size. for a
Mhm.
building lot. Should have no problem with that, the receiver.
It's conceivable that the value of the land would go up considerably after it was.
Yeah, it might be, yeah, it would have to be
That's
cleared
why-
out.
That's why receivers take these cases, so
Yeah.
that they can,
Well, maybe
Well,
not
it-
that's how they
52,000.
make their living.
He might go up to 60 or 70,000 as a building lot, but he's already
I'm,
52,000 involved in it.
Plus he has lawyer fees that he's already, and
Yeah.
accumulated fees that he's already
I
in for about
suppose.
13,000.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing it, I'm just spitballing here, but do we want to keep the land? I mean, do we want to make the investment of cleaning up and do something and then sell it as, I don't know.
Habitat.
I'm in
Yeah.
agreement with Dan. I think this is a good way out of this situation.
So, to Joe, your point, we would take the land, and then we would,
Clean it up.
in taking, we'd also have to, you know, make sure we had the money to clean it up.
Yep.
Let's call it $52,000.
Yep.
Today.
And then see what that might sell for.
Yep.
I have no experience in that, so I can't.
But I can tell you one thing too, that the lawyer's fees for the town to take the land is gonna take over
Yeah.
a long period of time, because I'm still dealing with another property
Mm.
that when I first started, requested that to happen, and it's a year and a half later, and we're still working on that.
And the town will
So
also-
if we say no, what happens?
He's in the process of pulling out. He said that he was in the process of pulling, the receiver's in the process of pulling out, going back to the judges and pulling out. This was some option that he did ask for, which I had no control to
Yeah.
ask.
Yeah.
So there was a time element.
The next housing court here.
Is next week on the 26th.
It says here in this email chain that it looks as though the mention of the possibility of waiving the back taxes did not sway the receiver.
It would be a Hail Mary.
It's a Hail Mary.
Yeah, so I feel like if it's a Hail Mary and we'll set precedent, maybe not the best move, if there's no guarantee of the outcome. If it was
Well,
more certain that the
yeah.
receiver would stick with
and
receivership and follow through,
it could be that the receiver is putting it that way in order to make, in order to push the town to come up with the offer,
Yeah.
but then he'll say, okay, well, I'll do it. It's hard for me to think that that would be the case for about $8,000, but that could be the difference for him, I don't know.
mm,
That's the other reason that I thought it would be worth bringing it forward, was that it was a relatively low amount of money. It's not the, $200,000
Yeah.
component property.
that's right.
Any
I
questions?
mean,
for
you
me?
gotta look at it this way, if we don't take this shot, we're gonna be stuck with, one, losing the taxes, which is probably gonna be 10,000 by the time we get this project in our way. We're gonna be stuck with 52 to 60,000 in removal. And then we're gonna probably be stuck with, as Agnes points out, lawyer fees along the way. So we could be up close to 70,000. I just think it's worth taking a shot at this.
Mm.
I mean, if the receiver doesn't come through for us, we don't repeal the taxes. I mean, he has to agree to acquire it.
Can we amend the motion to waive the taxes?
No motion's been made yet.
Okay.
Do you need me for any other questions?
Then you gonna make a motion? or
Mr.
what?
Chairman?
No, I don't think so. I think we're good
Okay,
on this, thank you.
Okay, but if you do, just ask.
Yep.
Thank you. Well, I wouldn't want to waive the back taxes unless the receiver would proceed. That'd be my opinion.
I agree with that.
Well, if he doesn't proceed, then it's automatic, we don't waive the back taxes. We still own it.
Okay.
I mean, own it so to speak, that
Yeah.
the tax collector can put it in tax title tomorrow.
Good point.
Yeah. So we don't lose anything, no. If he proceeds with this procedure that he's contemplating, then the remission of the $8,000 would come to play.
Well, we could say at the hearing next week, the select board would be willing to do this if you would be willing to commit to proceeding with the project.
I would agree to that.
I would like to know legally, I would like to know from KP what we're setting for precedent here. We're setting precedent, or we can do this one off.
Well, I think, I'm not sure it's as much a legal question as it is a select board policy question. No select board can bind a future select board, but if you do something, anyone can point to it and say, back then you did this. And that's why I thought it was still worth coming, because of the factors of it being a very unusual circumstance. So in this circumstance, given that this is part of the equation, given that the taxes are less than $10,000, given that the amount of nominal profit is less than the cost of doing the position, then in that case we will do this. And I think that narrows the precedent to what might be an acceptable policy. But again, that's your decision. It seemed to be unusual, low cost, and the circumstance of it costing more than the project was worth.
It looks like on this email here, then on Thursday, July 6th, it continues on to the next page. To Maha, Adam, and Kate, please read below DEP response. Also, Adam mentioned the town of Dalton would consider waiving the accumulating taxes. An email or letter would need to be forwarded to the town of Dalton from Adam. Did we receive such a letter?
No.
That's a really good point.
But I did at that point receive an email from him saying that he was looking to pull out.
We don't have that in the record.
Yeah.
It is it's actually an email I forwarded to Tom.
Yeah, but it's not in our packet for this evening. At least I don't see it. So if we had a letter from Adam saying that he would agree to that, then that gives a little bit more to go by.
Mm-hmm.
Team, I have an email from him on July 6th at 3/2018. At this point, I think we should go back in front of the judge and let him know that we cannot finish the project through the receivership.
So he made his decision.
Sounds like he already made
Yeah.
his decision.
He made his decision because I wasn't able to come up with the information as far as can we waive the taxes or not.
No, but you asked him for a letter on July 5th.
Yes.
He responded on July 6th. So on July 5th is what I read there in that paragraph. On July 6th, his response is, at this point, I think we should go back in front of the judge and let him know that we cannot finish this project through the receivership program. So he already made his decision. So maybe go to housing court, see what he's saying, and then bring it back to the board, I guess. I don't know.
The only thing about that is every time we go to court, his lawyer's there, and his lawyer's fees are going up and chipping into it further and further. So, I'm just letting you know. It's just,
Could you say that if he would sign a commitment to proceed with the project,
You can take any motion the board wants to, for sure.
that it might be, again, I don't know how much he's sort of fishing for the offer here, That could be the case.
Trav, is this guy a lawyer?
No,
Okay.
he has a lawyer.
If he has a lawyer, he's not
He is
using
a
his
lawyer,
lawyers.
but he has a lawyer.
he has a
The
lawyer.
principal is not a lawyer.
No.
Well, I'm not sure we know that, but
Yeah.
we know that he has a lawyer
Yeah.
that he's using. Yeah.
Well, can I borrow your pen?
Yes, of course. Well, I would suggest to the board that we ask for a letter of commitment, so to speak. If we go ahead with forgiving the $8,000, then you would be prepared to go ahead with this project.
And that would be a fourth condition, that any future precedent would have, it would further narrow any possibility of future
Yeah.
people using this.
In fact, I'll put that in the form of a motion, what I just said.
Can you repeat that motion?
I don't think so.
So there's the other three conditions too, and I think it's necessary to say, you know,
I would move that the board seek a letter of commitment that if we agree to the tax rebate or elimination, you would be prepared to go ahead with the project, I don't know if you'd call this a project,
The
with the
receivership.
legal project.
With the receivership.
Yeah, with the receivership. I guess that's the extent of the motion.
I'll second that.
If we can stick three whereases in front of that because the amount of the back taxes is under $10,000.
Yep.
And because the costs, as we understand them, are more than the assessed value of the property.
Right?
I see, you're framing it nice and tight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't remember the term, it was, and because it is in receivership.
Okay. So that is noted by the board, though.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. The
Therefore-
board understands this, and this is part and
Therefore,
parcel
if
of
he
the
gives us a
deliberations,
commitment,
hence the motion.
we'll agree to do
If
it.
he agrees to move forward with this, we would be prepared to move forward with a remission of the existing tax bill, which may be more in a couple of months. Tax
Yeah,
bill comes out August 1st, right?
and that's good, and Agnes can communicate that with him, and if
Yep.
that's what he was kind of asking.
Communicate to him verbally, we don't care, but then, ask him if he would send, no, we ask him if he would then send a letter to us.
Yes.
Agnes, does that make sense for you? That structure?
Because the amount of taxes is less than 10,000, and because the assessed value is,
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, well, so basically frame it to make it this tight of it for this situation, so we're not setting a precedent. Each situation we evaluate it based upon the same, right? Yeah. I like that, Tom, that's good thinking.
When one I lose.
Yeah, it's okay. All right, so we have that motion. Does anybody want to repeat the motion, or everybody agree?
I agree with that.
Yes, okay.
I seconded it.
Okay, so we have a motion, a second, any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you for that healthy discussion.
Agnes, can you prompt this person or entity to get back to us with a firm commitment or a firm no before the next select board meeting, which is
24th.
Yeah.
8/14?
14,
8/14.
Oh, no, I thought we meet on the 24th. so-
but it should probably be considerably earlier than that.
Yes, next August.
okay. All right,
and we'll work on this together with Tom.
Yeah, stop that.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you, tomorrow, Tom.
Thank you.
everybody.
thanks, Agnes, great work, thank you. And good to see you Saturday, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, very nice. All right, number 10, appointment of alternate delegate to the Berkshire Regional Planning Commission.
The planning board, I think by the way the BRPC is set up, provides the official prime delegate to the BRPC. The select board is by the same rule, the body that assigns an associate delegate. Or I'm sorry, an alternate delegate. And that,
So who is the current planning board delegate?
I think they'll be voting on that on Wednesday.
Well, if I may suggest, why don't we come up with the primary delegate first?
Well, that's the planning board's responsibility.
Yeah, well, why don't we do that, and then let him maybe talk to somebody about being his alternate.
We could also just knock this agenda item off now.
No, we could
Someone could make a motion.
Just make a motion to have an
Appoint
alternate. I mean,
a-
it's just an alternate. It's not like a.
I'll do it. Someone make a
All
motion.
right, I move that Mr. Esco will be the alternate delegate to the Berkshire Regional Planning Commission.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion and second, any discussion?
You okay with that, John?
Yeah, fine, you got it,
Okay.
congratulations.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstentions?
Okay.
And
Very
there's
good.
something
Motion
in the
carries.
signature folder for you that we can fill in the mailing address
Okay.
and all the contact information later. Maybe
No, we're not.
Dan, you could do that now. It's on the back of the letter, or maybe you
I've got
can
it.
do it separate.
I've already had it.
Yeah.
Okay, congratulations, Sam, thank you. Number 11, acceptance of med project grant for police department, the amount of $1,300.
Yes, this is, you got the memorandum from the chief, and this is the usual resolution and acceptance of the grant.
Yeah.
And there should be something in the signature folder for that as well.
Okay, and just for the folks at home, I'll read the memo. It's from, it's to Mr. Hutchinson from our chief, Chief Strout, regarding the med project grant. And it says, we applied for and received a grant for med project for $1,300 to help with the disposal of unwanted medications. Purpose of the grant per the website and the application is in support of law enforcement agencies' existing program for unwanted household medication collection kiosk at the LEA site where unwanted medication or medicine is collected and subsequently disposed of at disposal site. What's the LEA site? Is that the little box there with the police station, Tom? Is that what that is? I don't know.
I don't know that detail.
Okay,
Don't they have a box downstairs?
Yeah, I think there's a box
There's
right-
a box down there. but-
right down by the...
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, there is, I'm sorry.
The purpose of this grant is to pay for the collection and disposal of unwanted household medications where the LEO directly manages the disposal of collected medication. Attached paperwork to this memo for your review. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact her office. So congratulations on that. Thank you. All right, so we have a motion to accept the grant.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Okay, thanks. Yeah. And then the report on parking complaints at Zinke's Pub. Mr. Hutchinson.
I think you have the memo I sent. I'm happy to read that if you'd like.
Yeah, go right ahead. Yeah.
To the select board from myself regarding zoning enforcement officer conclusions on Zinke's parking. In response to complaints, the zoning enforcement officer inspected, or ZEO, inspected the parking situation at Zinke's Pub. First, the ZEO noted that if there is parking by patrons happening across the street at the apartment, that would be a matter for the property owner to complain to the police about that. They could have them towed away. He believes this could be at the owner's expense. As for the parking lot itself, the occupancy of the building would not be restricted to the number of spaces provided where there is an existing business in operation. That is, the requirements in the bylaw refer to new building. People can park on the street so long as it is not posted as no parking. The ZEO met with the owner of Zinke's on site and discussed the parking lot parking spaces. These have changed since the initial license application. The owner is preparing a new plan which will reflect the current striping. The only item the ZEO noted as a violation was that the accessible van space was missing the required signage. The owner will be installing.
Okay. Great, thank you for the update. Okay. Next is the town manager update.
The last few weeks have been quite fruitful as befits the season. I like that. The town hall renovation project is almost complete, with just some cleaning up to do and a very few outstanding items to take care of. While the project has not reached the formal designation of substantially complete, I expect that landmark will be reached either later this week or next week. The town clerk is slated to be the first office moved back in during the first week of August. It will take a number of weeks after that to move everybody else.
First week in August or September?
That, August,
Nice.
Oh, that's great.
yeah.
The town clerk.
We're also working on a kind of a last-minute plan that the former building and ground superintendent, Pat Pettit, really likes. He had mentioned it as a possibility earlier if there was any money left over, and that is doing some repainting in the town hall. There are a couple of reasons. One is that it hasn't been painted in about 25 years, and what do you call it? Not glossy, the dull paint. Yeah, has gotten dirty in places. And if Heather were here, she could talk about it. It was something that she wanted to do her own office just by itself. We'll be talking about it at the staff meeting on Wednesday. Pat had been very, he was hoping that it would be able to be done. You know, spruce things up. He's going to be doing the whole screen cleaning, the carpets. It would really look renovated. It would look renovated, aside from being renovated. I don't know how much that would cost at this point, but it's an item that we're thinking about, and it might be able to be done sort of office by office. I don't know whether everybody wants it or anything. Anyway, it's an item for the staff meeting to talk about, because Heather wants to do it, and she would pay for all of her work herself and do all the work herself, which is another slight problem because of
Liability.
insurance and
Oh,
all
yeah,
of that.
yeah, don't want to do that. No, we're either going to do it or not do it.
Yeah. That was my thought.
Yeah.
So, anyway,
Are we under budget? We have money left over?
I am pretty sure we are coming in substantially under budget.
Okay.
Well, because, partly due to the contingency funds that we put in that we have not had to spend. So, that's...
Just 2 cents for the board, and just, it's not up for discussion, Tom, so I don't want to interrupt your report, but even, I think we still have money for ARPA. I think it'd be a nice thing for the staff to do it anyways, just because of what they've been through for the last year. So I would support 100% trying to figure it out.
I appreciate that very much.
Yeah, so I think, that's, if you need a vote, you need a vote, but I think that's a no-brainer.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
that's a no-brainer.
Get a cost associated with it.
Yeah,
I
don't
don't have
don't
a
go-
cost at this point.
yeah, don't go haywire,
But,
but it'll be nice.
I didn't want them up on ladders.
Yeah, no, don't let them do
We don't want
it.
the
Let's-
staff to do it.
Yeah, welcome, Jeff.
First job?
Yeah,
I personally
through.
vote to
We'll
support
give you a 2-inch paintbrush.
painting. It sounds like you might have that support here.
Recommend Caleb Darby, who's a professional painter from planning board.
Well, we've got...
Well, we can't do that. If we're gonna, we're gonna,
I won't get involved in that. Tom, get us a quote.
just, do the bid, do everything else, yada, yada, yada. But let's, I think it's nice for the staff, especially if the money left over in the budget or.
Yeah,
Just, they've been through a lot, honestly.
Okay.
be done quickly.
Just a quick
I
question.
think it can be done quickly.
Yes.
Excuse me. Tom, a quick question while you're in the town hall. If the town hall, the town clerk is in her office the first week in August, that means that the town hall has to be open to the public.
Yes.
Okay, so the town hall will be open to the public for access to the town clerk on first week in August.
That's what we're planning. Yes.
To get that clear, the backup question to that is, what about our facilities, our office? Can we go start going in there and using it on first week in August?
No.
No.
Uh,
What about the Callahan? No.
I know that Pat has a plan for repopulating the offices. I don't know the details of that.
Okay.
offhand.
Thanks.
One other thing I'll say on this, I know you were in the middle of your update, but this is of course an important topic. I might suggest delaying the move-in if you're gonna do full-scale painting of the whole place.
Thank you.
Just a suggestion.
The town clerk's move is, has to be coordinated with an unusual number of people.
Yeah,
including
who's the state? Yeah.
And it has to be done fairly far in advance. So that room, anyway, you know, I anticipated going like the week before people move back in to the various offices, but again, I don't have that schedule with me here.
Okay.
Yeah.
And because she has to also get in before election season too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
So,
Thank you, Tom.
yeah. There's a lot of pressing things. It was like last out because it was pressing needs and first in because of pressing needs. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
The Green Committee has been working hard on the electric vehicle charging station project funded by ARPA, which will create 2 charging stations with 4 chargers in back of the CRA. They hope to create more charging stations with the reimbursements the town will get from that project. The town hall data wiring project is in full swing, with CBS Unlimited having started work last week. The first part of the fiber ring project is almost complete, with just minor stringing to go before turning the project over for the second part of the project, making the internal connections so that all town computers will be on the same network. This work is being done through a community compact grant I applied for it in March of 2022. That's the kind of timeline we're working with. Town planner Yanko Tomasic started work on Monday, July 10th, and has been busy acquainting himself with the work of the various committees he will be supporting. I'll be working with him over the next couple of planning board and ZBA meetings to make sure he's up to speed on everything before fully turning things over to him. And if there are any DRA meetings, let us know.
Pretty quiet this summer. We just had one a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, okay.
It's up to motivate people in July and August.
Town council is working with the winning bidder for the Barden property on the purchase and sale agreement. We are also in touch with the Mass Department of Agricultural Resources regarding the sale. I worked with the town accountant and the finance committee and this board as well to settle the very few remaining financial issues left over from fiscal year 2023. Fewer than usual, I'm given to understand from the town accountant, which is nice.
That's good. Yeah.
I've been contacted by Dalton Community Television regarding the need for an updated contract with Spectrum. They need some equipment replaced, and we haven't had an update for quite a while.
20 years.
Yeah. I attended the annual meeting of the Small Town Administrators of Massachusetts, where we heard from the new Director of Rural Affairs, Ann Goby, the Inspector General, who announced a program to fund the certified procurement official designation for one person from each municipality if the town cannot afford it otherwise, and the new state auditor, who's interested in tracking state spending in small towns. And we gave them all lots of feedback. I'll also note that Dalton Day was a great success this last Saturday, though it was produced on a shoestring budget and by a very few volunteers, especially the Cultural Council. And I want to especially thank my executive assistant, Melissa Machino, for her central role in providing energy and focus to the production.
She did great.
Vendors reported that he had a good day, and attendees under the music tent responded very favorably when asked if the town should continue the event in the future. Please send any ideas you have for future years to the Cultural Council. And I also want to say that it all started with Joe Diver's idea of a block party, and it got taken and run with.
Yep.
So thank you.
Thanks, Tom. No, it was a great event. A little idea, and then Alyssa and the rest of the team took and ran with it, and it was just amazing. It was fantastic.
Do you need a vote to do it again next year, or do we just do it again next year?
I think we just do it again, and the vote would be on the budget, right? On the funding. So, yeah, no, it was a great event, and it was interesting though. Just a quick comment on that. There was a resident who came up and expressed how much fun she was having. And she said, I never even knew DH Pizza was in this town. She goes, one of the best pieces of pizza I've had in a long time. She had no idea it was in town. So just have the businesses participate in this as well was really, really nice to see. So it was good. Awesome, thank you, Tom. Any questions for our town manager? And thank you for taking time out of your weekend to come, because you're usually bopping all over the place, Greenfield.
My pleasure.
Yeah, so it's nice to see you.
And I'll note that that weekend, Wacona Falls was still raging.
Oh, it was Russian, yeah.
I'd seen it on Monday when I took the town planner for a tour. I hadn't even thought of that as a possible benefit. But
Yeah.
it was incredible on Monday, and it was still very strong on Saturday.
Yep, it's crazy. Any questions for Tom? Good. Future agenda items.
The nuisance dog hearing that's been rescheduled.
Yeah.
Is that correct? For the 14th? Just one request. Could we get a copy of the complaint for that? The hearing was originally supposed to be today, but we didn't get copies of those in advance either, which
Nope.
I'd like to have, so we can have background information there.
Yeah, it might have been rescheduled before the agenda packet came
Yeah.
out. That might have been a timing issue,
Yeah.
if I recall.
Fair
correctly.
enough.
Yeah.
In advance of the 14th, if we can get that sooner rather than later, that'd be much appreciated.
Sure.
And the other, I'd like to put on the agenda, parking plan for Pine Grove Park. Particularly when the CRA hosts, or Dalton hosts, tournaments, sports tournaments.
Oh, yeah, it's pretty bad.
It was the same day as Dalton Day, and it was a lot of bottlenecks, people parking probably where they shouldn't have, or at least not in an intelligent way. Point being, a parking plan that would restrict parking to certain sides of the street and in certain areas would benefit everyone in the area, particularly the residents.
I've noticed the double line of cars.
On all the streets, it was difficult, yeah. So that's future agenda.
Good point. And then since we have, our next meeting's in August, right, Tom?
Yes, August 14th.
And then we get into September where we're gonna have our strategy meeting. So I think on our next agenda, we wanna finalize a strategy session agenda and plan, or at least begin that.
I have a draft.
Yeah, a lot of questions.
I'll work with you and Dan on that a little bit first.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, a lot of questions because we had a great time, but everybody's asking, well, what are we doing with the space in the future?
Yeah, and that's,
So, but anyway, any items not anticipated 48 hours before tonight? Hearing none.
From me.
Any remarks to the select board?
I did want to just thank the Dalton Cultural Council,
Yeah,
Alyssa Machino, Executive Assistant to Town Manager, and all the volunteers and the vendors that made the Dalton Day such a success. I was there for a couple of hours and I saw some of you. Sorry I missed those that I didn't see.
And I do want to emphasize that my assistant's work on this was as a member of the Cultural Council and not as a
Correct.
staff member.
yeah.
Correct. It
yeah.
was all volunteer.
Yeah, as a volunteer.
And she's a volunteer and she doesn't live in Dalton.
No, she
Yeah.
lives.
She lives in Pittsfield, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so she put a lot of effort in just being part of that team, part of our community, was just really, really nice, really nice.
I was amazed at the turnout. It was just like unbelievable turnout, a lot more than I expected, so.
So for our town meeting, we'll get a beer truck and a couple of food vendors and people will come out, right? So,
Then you'll
Absolutely.
get
Yeah.
200, 300 people to show up.
yeah, exactly, just kind of keep it going, right? So, okay, if there's any other remarks to the select board? Okay, hearing none. Annual car these announcements. Annual car permits, bag stickers, and recycling only car permits are available for purchase at the transfer station and on the town's website. So we're in a new fiscal year, so get your new stickers. There are numerous committees and boards with vacancies. Please see the town website for more information or reach out to the town manager's office. Is your electricity bill too high? The town has contracted with the Colonial Power to provide an electricity plan for town residents that takes advantage of joining with other communities to have a larger customer base for negotiations, which has resulted in prices significantly lower than current Eversource prices. Please note this may not always be the case. For more detail or to opt in or opt out, visit the town's website or call the town manager's office. The Dalton Housing Authority is seeking a volunteer to fill a vacant seat on its board. Must be a resident of Dalton. Please call 413-684-1470 for more information. Next meeting is scheduled to take place on Monday, August 14th, 2023 at 7 p.m. at the Senior Center with an option for remote participation. With that, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, abstentions, motion carries. Good night, Dalton. Thank you.
All right.